Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. We're out here in the garden. It's July 3rd. Let's do a garden tour. It's been a while. Well, let's say it's hot, but things are definitely liking it. Some of them's done bloomed. Time to pull the heads off. This one here, I'm going to save seeds. That'd be the time. Up here in the Victory Garden, we've got a one row planted. The other row is waiting. We're going to put some cantaloupes or watermelons on that row. Even though it's late, we're going to give it a shot again this year. And this row here is our Blue Lake bush green beans that we just planted yesterday. We're starting to do a little bit of cleanup. We've got these two rows. This one here is definitely ready to plant. This one here, we'll have to go through and pick out a few more weeds, but it's almost ready. Our chives are going crazy. Of course, we've got all we need. We've got quite a bit freeze dried up. Our oregano, hopefully the idea is to harvest this today and freeze dry it. We finally got our shade cloth up over our ginger and turmeric. Now we did add a new plant. This was given to me by a nephew. This is Cuban oregano, so I've got it to join the bunch. The ginger is liking it better now that it's got shade cloth. All our herbs that's on the other side there are doing good. That lemongrass is going crazy. Look like I got pokeweed growing over here. In the south, pokeweed comes up all over. It's easy to recognize, and how it gets in some of its places, I have no idea, but I know how to get it out of there. This is edible, but to me, it just doesn't have much flavor, so we're going to put that outside. Let's zoom out a little bit so I don't get you too dizzy. But all our new varieties of lavender here are doing good. Our mint, and I don't remember that, I think it's spearmint, it's doing good. We do need to come in here and do some weeding. When we see this grass pop up out from the bottom, we just try to follow it down and pull that out. And some of it, as you can see, when it starts to seed, this would be a mess in here. If we had left it just a little bit longer, those seeds would be taken over. Now these are containers, and you wonder how these weeds get up in here, but they do a good job of finding their way. We've got a good variety of them. I know you don't want to spend the day watching me weed, so we'll pull that out. And we are behind on the weeds. This is our lavender that we grew from seed. These ones are empty. We've got some spearmint here, or lemon balm here, and we might want to harvest that again, put some more up. All our basil varieties, I'm going to have to come in here and cut them again. I've cut them once, but they're coming up and seeding. We're going to take and cut these back again. My marshmallow ain't doing too good. They say it takes a lot of water, but part of the problem is my soil. Anytime you have certain weeds, and this here is goat weed, certain types of weeds that go in there, it tells you your soil's poor. And even though I'm using compost and I'm using a good chicken litter fertilizer, the nutrients and especially calcium is seeming to get low. Our turmeric is doing real well. It really perked up since we put the shade cloth on it. We do have plenty of weeds. We got this row pretty much weeded. This is a second run of cucumbers, and they're not liking it too good. We're going to come out here and harvest a few. We are getting enough that we can eat some and take a few to the market, but they're not going to last long. I've got enough to do 4 more rows, so we're going to replant these Now these sunchokes, this is the first year for growing them, and they're really a beautiful addition with their yellow flowers. Now I've never ate a sunchoke, so I said I'd grow them and see how they tasted. They call them a Jerusalem artichoke. But anyway, the tuber's in the ground, and we harvest these whenever these start to die back. As you can see, and normally you don't see this, but we've had so many projects going on with repairing equipment, and got to get out there today and do something with our bees, and we've got one swarm, we've got to do something with it. So it takes a lot of time when you start planting other stuff, but this won't take long to pull out. These weeds here, they are a nuisance, but they're not hard to clear. So it's just a matter of coming in here and finding where the root is. And of course we want to pull the root up, but it just takes a minute or two. And it doesn't take us about 10 minutes to clear this row, but we've got quite a few of them that are needing cleared. And so we're going to have to get after it. We'll come back up here to the front. Our habaneras, which is the one tastes like habanero, that doesn't have any heat. They're starting to produce now. These here are the new pepper that I've grown this year, and I think they're just some of them just starting to get right. But these, they actually look like, to me, they look like a shishito. Of course, these are hot. They are a good pickling pepper. And when they start turning yellow, and not because a bug got them, but they start turning yellow, that's when they're ready to harvest. Now our tomatillos, we left these in here because the bees were really liking them. We do have a problem with a lot of bugs, but looks like some of them might have got right, that the bugs didn't bother. Now our Cajun bells, it's looking like the heat is killing them. We're going to end up having to take out some. When you get a plant that starts looking like this, the fruit starts to suffer on it a lot of times, and especially if the fruit doesn't look shiny, if it looks dull on it. Of course, this is sun scalded, but if it looks dull, it's not healthy, and it won't go to the market. It should be nice and shiny. We've been harvesting quite a bit of sun gold tomatoes. We've been picking these every other day, and as you can see, these plants are going wild, and we're just letting them go wild. See if we can get around this wild bunch. Now, we did early on, we trimmed this side of this one, so it's a little bit maintained, but then when we started, she said, well, let's wait and just let them go ahead and go however. Our bell peppers, a lot of these are getting sun scalded. We're in the, might as well say 100, it's 99 for the next couple of days here. And definitely the peppers are going to suffer. These are some more sunchokes right here. And we've been picking them every other day and been getting a pretty good bit on them. Now these are our Cherokee purples, and you can see these are pretty much toast. And what we're going to do is we're going to find some that's still growing good, because some of these are doing real well. But we're going to take these out. We're going to take every green tomato off the other ones, and we're going to take some suckers, stick them in the ground, and get our next batch. And we won't have very many of these. We might have maybe about 10 plants for fall tomatoes. Our other bell peppers over here, they're doing a little bit better. It could be possibly because everything's so tight. Like I say, it's a jungle. These Cherokee purple tomatoes are growing good, but we've got stink bugs and leaf foot bugs. So we're going to take them out, kind of break that cycle. And the thing too is that's normally a calcium issue. We haven't had uh, any bloom rot. Now this is bad on the bottom, but this is not bloom rot. But you don't have to have uh, if your calcium is low, but it's good, you got enough, say on your what your soil test would say, it ain't necessarily enough for uh, what the plant needs to thrive. It'll grow. Now you can see these stink bugs that's on there. Uh, that's a lot of the problem. The fruit just isn't looking that good. We're having to deal with them, and so like I say, we're just going to pull it all off. The the tomatoes will taste almost as good as if they was left on the vine long enough to blush, but uh, and they'll be way better because they won't be stung up. Now our French beans here, they're starting to put on. These we actually leave them on the plant until uh, they dry. Once the pod starts drying, that's when we'll harvest these. They get this as they get older. They get this purple uh, blotching on them, and that's the same thing on the bean inside. In the little greenhouse, we haven't done much. Our potatoes that's in here look like they're pretty much done. We'll probably go ahead and see if we've got any taters under any of them, and figure out what we're going to plant in there. This time of year, there's only a few things that grow well, and the ones that grow well, normally the bugs like, so that's an issue. Over here, our asparagus is gone wild. Good thing it's roped up because it would be all over the place. Our tobacco is doing good. It's definitely went to seed. Now I've collected some seed pods, and I'll probably cut these seed heads off to keep from having just a real wild amount of tobacco here next time. This was way more than I wanted to plant, but sometimes you just do what you do. Our deal, and you can see these weeds, how they spread out and decide to cover. But like I say, the way this particular weed is, you can see it's got one center area. And the worst thing about these is they harbor bugs up underneath them. Maybe you can see them running around and stuff. It keeps a perfect condition, and so that's one reason why they need to be taken out. Now this is our first batch of deal, and it went to seed. You can see all these seeds here. What we're going to come in here and cut this out, and we'll just start watering this, and we'll let it come back for another run. This okra on this side of the greenhouse isn't doing as well, and partially that's because when the sun comes up, it hits that on the other side early, but this one here, it ends up being in the filtered light longer. But yeah, we've got too much tobacco over here. This was our zucchini. As you can see, the vine borers decided to take this out again. We're going to try a different method. We're not going to tell you what we're going to try. We did learn a little bit more about the soil. And you'd think after 40 years or so of gardening that you'd know how to garden, but as most of you know, things just, you learn something all the time. It's a learning experience. Now this is our roselle, the 2 rows. This stuff is about 6 foot tall. It is actually growing together, which I figured it would. I'm hoping that it's shading the side. Maybe it'll think it's less light. Our blueberries, now this is into July and we're still harvesting blueberries off this Titan. Now they didn't get real big, but they've still got blueberries, so that might be a variety. If you're in the heat, it might be a good variety for you to grow. Our rosemary is really liking this spot. You know, we talked about how it doesn't like a whole lot of water. It likes more of an arid, dry area. It does need water, but it doesn't like very much water. And this has really done good. We're going to come out here, we're going to clip some of these sprigs, and we're going to put them in the freeze dryer and put a little bit of this up. Now, there are two varieties. This is the art variety, and this is another one from a seed pack, but it's not the art variety of rosemary. Let's see, let's go back up this way through the jungle. Peppers are doing pretty good. Most of the hot peppers do survive pretty good. Now the water's on this, and I've been watering about roughly every other day. Our rhubarb, I got to get in here and cut some of this. I'll end up harvesting some more. I'll get the leaves that's bad out of there. It is doing much better since we've got the shade cloth over it. Sometimes it takes us a while to get things going. Our habaneros are changing colors here. We've been harvesting these, harvested a few last week and the week before. We'll have some more this week. The greenhouse is needing some weeding, and we need to get some planting done in here. So that won't be far off. I don't know what we're going to plant. All our citrus trees are doing well. I need to get out here and check and see how my air layering's coming on some of these. Our new batch of deal here is, and this is the thing when you're in the heat, even though it's under the shade, they'll start flowering early. I have harvested this for a couple of weeks. This is my single seed challenge from 2022, and it is up here now. It's way up there. I'm going to say if it's in the ground, it's going to be roughly about 6 feet tall or so. My cilantro is on its last leg. This is not anything I'm going to take to the market, but I am going to make me some salsa today. I like fresh salsa, and then put it in vacuum bags and freeze it, so I can have fresh salsa throughout the year when I can't grow tomatoes and stuff. Our little pineapples, we said we wasn't going to grow pineapples again, but looks like we're going to. We'll put these in the new greenhouse when we get it up. All three of them actually took hold. The middle one I thought wasn't going to go, but then it started putting one out the side. Now we've got some, I'd have to look at the tag. It's either Blues or Hilton, but it's kind of a Napa or Chinese cabbage. And it's been in the containers way too long, but some of them have actually held up pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the ground in the greenhouse. If they decide to go to seed, we'll just pull them out and give them to the chickens. But they make a real good lettuce substitute for this time of year, because they don't normally bolt, but when you're behind and you don't get things in the ground, that's what happens. Now this was where our green beans were. We just harvested the last and pulled them out this past week. Our strawberries, as you can see, this looks terrible. So what we're going to do is we'll come in here. We'll do a lot of cutting back on the leaves. See if we can't get a few of the runners where they actually root in, and then see if we got enough plants for next year. What we're planning to do next year is to put down some kind of layer of ground cover fabric and then plant into it, and we'll see. But the big thing is we end up with centipedes or millipedes, and they start messing with the roots. These tomatillos here are looking sickly too. This will all come out. Some of these tomato plants are still hanging in there now. The cherry tomatoes at the end, the sweet 100s, they fare good in the heat, and that's the thing about cherry tomatoes, they really do good in the heat. There are certain varieties that are doing okay. Now this is the Martian Giant, which is, I'd say it's average size tomato, and it's if I can tell where I am, I got okay, but it's all right size overall tomato, but with the things that are stinging it, we're having a lot of issues as far as to getting them to ripen up. But this is probably one of them. It seems to take the heat good, so this might be one that we'll search on here. We'll find us some good suckers and grow them on out. Our cayennes are hanging in there. We're probably going to trim the ones that's fallen over. We didn't really keep them in the cages. The cages kind of help them stay upright and off the ground. But a lot of these tomato plants, just like right here, you can see this tomato is, it's really time to take it out. And when you start looking at the tomatoes, that don't look real bad, but this one up here, these end up going to the chickens. This has been stung all up from stink bugs, and that's our major problem there. Now, one thing I've noticed past couple of years, I've paid more attention to it. Now this pepper here, it's probably got root knot nematodes or something that's affecting it. But these peppers tend to droop a lot, and it could be because root knot nematodes, but the other peppers don't seem to droop so much. And of course, this time of year, our poblanos get real small, and with the heat, we end up with a lot of sun scald. We've got these two beds cleaned back out. We're going to put our couple rows of cucumbers in there. We've got to clean this one where we had our lemon drop melons. I'm not going to plant those again. We do have volunteer pepper there and a volunteer pepper here. We just let them go. And she's been picking the snow-capped peas. These definitely would have been better if they were put out earlier in the year. We got stink bugs coming up here and messing with them too. But anyway, timing is always an issue whenever you're taking and growing something. Our apple trees are doing good. Of course, we didn't get any apples. They are definitely trying to get some size on them. It's about time I'm going to do a summer prune again on them this year. Hopefully, they'll do better next year, but I'm going to prune them considerably down and try to end up weighting them over towards this side more, so it kind of wants to grow up. It will be in the way, but you know, if it produces apples, let it get in the way. Let's go look at the what was the potato garden. Okay, we're at the potato garden, and things are looking pretty good. We've got really good stand when I planted these. Of course, the double row, and got real good germination on it. We always do that. Of course, they get really wild from pick in there with that many plants, but they do seem to thrive. We've got our zipper creams here. And at the far end, where it's nice and greener, we've got our purple hulls. And in the middle here, and I'm going to have to come down. I'm going to try to do some weed and maybe keep this up. But we have our candy corn. And like I said in my seed starting video, we're going to try to experiment and see how things do. These are double rows on a 4-foot center row, and these are single rows. Now, 4 foot is a little wide for pollination. On corn, I may take and not thin that as much up here, maybe leave it a little bit closer. I know when it gets too close, it doesn't pollinate good anyway. You have partially filled cobs, because what ends up happening, the leaves cover the silks, and so they don't get pollinated good. Some of them you'll get a few kernels, or you'll get a partially filled ear that way. But the peas are doing good. The first batch we kind of put in, we did get some peas off them. Now these will be quite a few peas. The thing will be if we can get out here in the heat, depending on what the heat is, and see if we can get them picked. And we may even do some U-pick on that, but we're not going to plant. We don't plant big fields. This is a pretty good sized garden spot. Now the lower garden spot, there are a few, the potato plants, the leaf cutters come in and eat the tops off a lot of them. The watermelons didn't do good at all down there. The sweet potatoes are still going, but the nut grass is just really taken over, and we'll see. We'll get a few sweet potatoes, but I don't know that how great the harvest will be. It could surprise me. But anyway, that's where the garden's looking at here for July 3rd. And of course, if you have any questions, always ask them down in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. And let me know how your garden's doing, what you got planted, and especially if you got a long season like us, what's your second crop. Anyway, if you want to see more, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all, so you get the notifications. And of course, as always, give it a big thumbs up and share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.